Salutations, everybody. It is Matty here today, sitting down for a good old-fashioned Xbox discussion video. Now, ladies and gentlemen, this topic, I gotta say, isn't as spicy as the last one that was rattling around in my brain for some time, where we talked about the Xbox Game Pass problem. I highlighted day one games like, you know, Dark Alliance, Outriders, quality checking those games, and then when you look at stuff like Back 4 Blood, Crossfire X, I don't know if I can quite take my victory lap yet, but things are looking good. Anyway, the point being is these conversations are a rarity, but when they do come around, I think they're effective, impactful, and get the community talking about something that I think is a direction Xbox should head in this case, which is the Xbox Direct. What is that? I'll get into that in just a moment, but if you're new here, then consider subscribing. We have a lot of Xbox conversations and news bits to certainly cover. With that, let's talk about this Xbox Direct. So I was watching the most recent Nintendo Direct. That's how long this idea has been in my head for. And even if you're like me and you can't fucking stand Nintendo because of the way they treat their fans and they nostalgia bait everyone for a full-on price tag of $60, there is a respect I have for their presentation game, which is bomb. I love Nintendo Directs because they can come at the drop of a hat, like, oh snap, it's happening tomorrow. Everyone move your plans, like direct time, because they can fill out a good first half of a year like they just did with their last Nintendo Direct, where there's so much stuff to suddenly look forward to. It's that knowledge of what it can do with the anticipation of how the slides transfer from one game to the next, how snappy it is, that makes it always a fun thing to watch. And I know a lot of Nintendo fans will say, like, this Direct wasn't that good because it didn't have, like, Mario or Zelda. I don't really care about these Nintendo games. Typically, the third-party surprise hits are the ones that make me the most excited, where they announce, like, a ton of HD collections, like Klonoa coming out of nowhere. You go, wait, what? Klonoa? Are you kidding me? So for me, that's how I feel about the Nintendo Direct. It's the surprise factor, it's the anticipation build-up, it's the cadence at which they deliver a ton of big game announcements. And with Xbox acquiring Activision Blizzard King on top of ZeniMax, I was really looking at the lay of the land, plus all their already first-party studios like Compulsion, Ninja Theory, so on and so forth, Obsidian. I was thinking, they're about to run into a problem pretty quickly if they don't figure out a format. With E3 going away, it's almost mandatory now. But when you look at Xbox's upcoming cadence of games, you think of Starfield, Hellblade 2, Avowed, Fable. You start to look at games like that, and I think to myself, well, all these games deserve their moment just by name alone. You know, Obsidian making their own Skyrim, Bethesda's first brand new IP in over 2 decades. You know, Hellblade, a game going from indie to full-on AAA, high production values. Compulsion doing a brand new IP when they were typically tied down by procedural generation with the likes of We Happy Few, now being let off the leash. All of these games deserve a moment. And I don't think if we're seeing the current Xbox, which is hitting E3, Jeff Keighley showcases like Summer Games Fest, and of course the Game Awards, that Xbox can give these games the time they deserve to breathe. Because when Activision Blizzard King joins the fold, it's very possible in the coming years that we start to see an Xbox that can release a game, a first-party major exclusive, every quarter. If they really do get their act together, they can do that. And that's not accounting for third-party deals, day one Game Pass deals, that absolutely will be struck in the meantime. They're in a really powerful position right now. It's exciting. But with that, all this good stuff, you've got to handle it right, and you've got to market it right. And I was thinking to myself that a direct style presentation could be perfect for them. That does come with a bit of a caveat. I think of something like the Gamescom shows that we've seen, where, you know, Xbox shows up and it's like, what, that was something, okay, I guess, like the Age of Empires history videos. Yeah, there are times that Xbox is making a show and scraping the bottom of the barrel, but that's the beauty of Nintendo Direct. When they show stuff, they've got games. They've got many games. It's not whatever Xbox has done in the past, the fake gameplay showcases and whatnot. We don't see that from Nintendo Direct, and it's because they can do it when they want, and they can show off what they want. And if you look at even State of Play, which I know has received reasonable criticism, I think of something like that where at least they have the idea of, we can use this as a platform to announce third-party games. We can use this as a platform to show off our own games. So we can do a 30-minute state of play on just Horizon Forbidden West. We can do one on just God of War. And that is legitimately exciting. And I think of Xbox, where, let's look at Starfield as a great example. And then you have Redfall coming and who knows what else. Todd Howard loves showing his games for 30 plus minutes. It's been a cadence since Fallout 4. And I don't think it's going to change anytime soon, especially when they're showing off something brand new in Starfield, right? This is an IP that we're not familiar with. It's not Fallout. It's not Elder Scrolls. This thing needs to be marketed heavily. So I was thinking to myself, well, if Todd wants to do his usual thing, which undoubtedly I would say he's going to do, I think it's reasonable to expect that can take away from other deserving Xbox first-party games. Where I started to toss around the idea, if you listen to Defining Duke, I've said, well, what if Xbox just had their own showcase for Bethesda things? But then you sort of run into the issue Bethesda had, where they were scraping the bottom of the barrel in like 2017 and 2019, where it's like, you guys don't have anything to show. Just stop doing the E3 showcases unless there is something there. And that's where the state of play, the Nintendo Direct mentality can help them. Because Xbox can have a couple of little things like a Tunic and then a Starfield all in one show, and it can make something kind of special. And it can be quick. It can be 20 minutes. It can be 30 minutes. That type of stuff can work out really well for them. Again, this is me being optimistic. I'm not going to sit here and pretend like some of these random shows that they put together have been good. But Xbox is a company that, I've said this before, they love to announce things. They love to show things off. They love to make a big deal out of everything. So I feel like it should be almost a no-duh type of moment for them to make a Xbox Direct style presentation show. It can also be effective on two fronts. Number one is, right now we're in a, as some are calling it, the Xbox drought. And I think that's fair to say, right? We had Stalker, that got delayed. We had Crossfire X, which is fucking horrible. So there's that gone. There's Tunic coming up, which looks amazing. But Tunic's an indie game, and let's be honest, I know a lot of people love indie games. I do too. But a lot of people are looking for those big, bombastic AAA exclusives. Like, that's what they want. And you can't rush those things. You can't just snap your fingers and make it come out of thin air. And I think all of us want the best possible games for every platform. So you can't rush that thing. So what do you do when there's a drought? Let people know what's coming up. Get them excited for what's next in your wheelhouse, whether it be far or close up. On the second front, what I think this can actually do is, we're not even considering in this conversation yet, Game Pass. You could literally make a direct type of show out of day one, or just Game Pass announcements in general. Right now, their cadence is to post these types of screenshots where they say, here's what's coming to Game Pass. And it works pretty well. You just see all of them one image, and a lot of times you go, holy crap, I'm still paying $15 a month for all of that being added in, plus everything that's already there. This is crazy. I think of like the beginning of January when they got Hitman and then Mass Effect, both these amazing trilogies in at once. It's like, you know, do I actually have the free time to play these things? No, but holy smokes, it's amazing that they're both here for people who do want to put the time in. Anyway, you could literally have a show, kind of like how Nintendo does Indie World. You could make a Game Pass Direct style show as a sub show underneath your Xbox Direct banner that effectively says, like, here's what's coming to Game Pass in the next couple of months. Here's what's coming day one. And make a bigger deal out of that, because Game Pass is their future platform. So why not make the show around that as well? I think there's just so many tantalizing options here for Xbox to play with, and I think they're gonna need to play ball with this idea to some extent, because eventually they're gonna have too much to show. The reason I present all of this, and I probably should have said this in the beginning, is because the alternative is like 3+ hour showcases if everything is going as it should be, which I don't think is sustainable. I don't think it's right, because already in these showcases that go an hour plus, things get drowned out. And even if it's like an hour plus of just games, things do get drowned out. I can't recall the last showcase I've seen where I didn't forget a game that I thought looked awesome because they were showing so many other awesome things, which is a good problem to have. I'm not complaining, but good games can be buried. That's a reality in this industry that not enough people acknowledge. Like, we can have good shit that just gets buried and doesn't get enough attention because of the timing it was shown and what overshadowed it. It's why I interviewed Graham Smith of Drinkbox Studios. You see companies actively avoiding big games. Like, he had moved Nobody Saves the World out of the way of Elden Ring twice, because that is a game that, as we've now seen with the release of it, dominates the cycle. So when a game is hot, it's hot. And you want to make sure these games have time to breathe and be presented. And Xbox effectively is loading up a lot of bullets in the chamber right now, and they're going to have to let all of them go at some point. We're going to need an update on Avowed. We're going to need an update on Hellblade 2 again, because that's probably coming the soonest. We're going to need an update on Everwild. We're going to need an update on Starfield. Redfall, which, you know, again, I've reported this on Defining Duke alongside Cognito. We had heard had received a slight delay. So there's a lot of games that need updates. Compulsion, what are they working on? Fable, you know, you get a CGI trailer. Like, that's the thing. There's a demand for these updates on first party. And notice how I've talked this whole video about first party. We don't even consider the standard third party deals like a Contraband that comes in and many others that Xbox undoubtedly is going to want to show off. And beyond that, it's just like third party marketing things. It's not all exclusivity. It's not all day one Game Pass deals. It's just Xbox being a business. Think of the last E3 showcase they did with Bethesda, where 28 out of the 30 games shown were all Game Pass. So they still do have third-party deals in place saying, like, I think it was Diablo 2 and something else. They went, okay, we're going to market this thing. We're going to make it a part of their platform. We're going to show this thing off. I genuinely believe, like, they need to get ahead of this problem before it exists. And then you have these super cramped showcases or rushed ones at that. Because right now, even 10 minutes on Forza Horizon 5 in last year's E3 showcase, I was sitting there going like, man, this is going on for a while. And I know infamously I got dogpiled for that take, which is fine because I learned my lesson when I played the game. But even that is hard to imagine in the current setup that Xbox is building to, where spending 10 minutes or even 5 minutes on a game might be a little too long. And you don't want that. Some of these games, like I think of Starfield, and hell, any game I've mentioned so far, need some time to flex their muscles, show off what they got. So Xbox is playing with a lot of fun things, but they gotta handle this power right. As they say in Spider-Man, with great power comes great responsibility. And I'm just saying that I think this showcase idea could be a good way for them to do it, because then they can act on their own behalf. One of my biggest criticisms of Xbox, and I get it from a marketability standpoint, they do their own Gamescom show, right? And they have nothing to show for Halo, but then a Jeff Keighley show the next day, they have something for Halo. I'm like, Xbox, this is your show. This is your show. We've seen how you treated your show, so I guess my idea probably doesn't brew a lot of confidence in people, but you should be putting your big dogs in your own show, not Jeff Keighley's show. I like Jeff, but come on, man, really? So I look at stuff like this, and I think a lot. I ponder a lot, and clearly I had a lot to say. So that's really all I had in mind here. It's just an idea for Xbox to present these awesome looking games in a regular cadence that they can continue to fill out the year. They can continue to keep fans updated on these games, and there's not going to be this overwhelming tidal wave of trailers, and then suddenly we're forgetting about games. I don't want to assume the audience is dumb or forgetful. Don't get me wrong. It's not what I'm doing at all. But again, I've been there, and I know many others have, where it's like, oh, that was a lot of things. What did I like? Gee, I don't know. The endorphins are rushing everywhere. So that's enough from me. Those are just some thoughts I have on the Xbox Direct. I don't know how agreeable this topic will be, but I'm feeling quite confident. We'll see. Might be a fool's confidence here, but let me know what you're thinking in the comments down below. Other than that, follow me on Twitter, follow me on Instagram. Those links are in the description down below. And a big thank you to all the patrons, all the members who continue to support the hell out of the content here. Stay sexy, stay active. I love you all. Peace.